Deputy Speaker, I'm delighted to follow the honourable member for Hemsworth. Long time ago, he and I were pairs with each other. Mostly members in this chamber today will have forgotten that we had an official pairing system, so it dates him and me, I'm afraid. Mr. Deputy Speaker, thank you for letting me catch your eye in this debate. There have been a lot of interesting points made, but I think one of the most interesting facts I've heard is the number of members opposite that have actually been complaining about the level of tax burden. Right. So I will assume that when they produce their individual general election manifestos, they will have in each of them that they're going to reduce the burden of tax on the people of this country. And I'll bet you a bottle of something nice, Mr. Speaker, when the Labour Party manifesto comes out, the fiscal burden on the people of this country will be higher than it will be under a Conservative government. So, and the Honourable Lady for Wallasey was absolutely dead right, and she reinforced the point made by my right honourable friend for Whittam, I should remember that, I'm so sorry, that the fiscal drag is actually one of the main reasons why the tax burden has gone up so much in this country. And the top rate of tax comes in at just £50,270. And the number of people, as the Honourable Lady for Wallasey made clear in her speech, who actually are going to fall into that progressively over the years, is going to increase. And that means that a number of our constituencies on fairly modest wages, medium-paid police, medium-paid teachers, medium people paid in the health service, quite large numbers of people working hard will suddenly be thrust into the top rate of tax. And as my right honourable friend said, people know how to spend their own money far better than the state does. So I think we want to see a progressive look at that aspect to see what we can do, perhaps in the budget when it comes. Now, I suppose this autumn statement will be remembered by two key events. One was the full expensing made permanent at a cost of £11 billion. That is a very big relief that's been announced today. And the second one, for individuals, is the cut in Class 2 national insurance and the reduction of Class 4, together amounting to £10 billion. And those are two very big measures. So there are a number of measures in this budget which I warmly welcome. Measures to boost growth, employment, productivity, and above all investment, because it's by boosting investment will help the long-standing productivity problem in this country. It will boost the measures to boost growth, reduce debt, and above all, to see inflation coming down in the way that it has. Because inflation, Mr. Deputy Speaker, is a tax on every single person in this country. It's a tax on every business. It's a tax on the public sector. It is, in short, very damaging to the economy as a whole, and it's very good to see it having come down from over 11% to now just under 5% in over a year, and we look forward to the Chancellor's predictions of it coming down to 2.8% next year, even better, and by the end of next year, perhaps the beginning of 2025, to the Bank of England's target level of 2%. So that is a really, really good thing that's happened to the economy. So what have we done in this budget? Well, we've cut taxes for 27 million working people from January by reducing the main rate of national insurance contributions. We've cut and simplified tax for 2 million of the self-employed. I warmly welcome that. I've got a lot of self-employed people in my constituency. We've cut business rates, above all, by freezing small businesses multiply yet again, saving the average shop 1,650, and that will benefit a lot of my shops in my small towns in the Cotswolds. Above all, we've, as I've said, cut the national living wage. We've increased the national living wage to £11.44 an hour, up from about £5.50 when we took power in 2010. And I think that is a terrific achievement, and it will benefit 2.7 million workers. Above all, one of the measures which will help in the Cotswolds is increasing the local housing allowance, because the rents in the Cotswolds are very high, and the difference between what they get paid under the housing benefit and what they have to pay in the market is actually quite high. And I'm delighted, having had an elderly population, that the government intends to keep on with its promises on the triple lock. I am delighted also to follow my chairman on the Public Accounts Committee. She has recounted in her very wise speech a lot of measures that we found in the Public Accounts hearings that she and I sit on diligently twice a week. It's a terrific workload. But I think the one area which I would absolutely agree with her, and others have mentioned it too, is the issue of skills. And we found time after time in our public accounts hearings skills shortages in certain sectors, in IT programmers, in digital collection, in project managers, in complex procurers. All of these areas there are skills shortages, and that is hampering the public sector in carrying out its particularly big projects. And I'm delighted, therefore, with what the Chancellor said today about how the level of education has increased so much within the G7 countries for some of our youngsters. And I had a very good visit the other day to the deputy head, or the acting deputy head of my Cirencester College. And he is one of the leading colleges in the country to produce these new government's T-levels. And he now teaches up from 10 to 13. His numbers are absolutely full to the gunnels at 3,300. He can't take any more unless he has new buildings. But what he particularly said, and this may be of interest to the House, Mr. Deputy Speaker, is that he warmly welcomes the government's new proposals on the advanced levels, because he says the combination of vocational training and technical training in those advanced levels produces more rounded pupils that go on to do better at university. So I think the government has got some imaginative ideas in education, and I know that my teachers in the Cotswolds will warmly welcome the record level of resources that are going into our schools under this statement. But, Mr. Deputy Speaker, there was one thing that was missing in this budget, and I'm sorry, I'm going to detain the House for a little while on this because it is so important, and I'm going to go through it in a little detail. And that was the question that I asked the Chancellor on why weren't measures of the tourist tax included in this budget. And I want to go through this. On leaving the EU, Britain had the chance to become the only European country where 450 million EU residents could shop tax-free. Businesses believe that this new market could be worth, and this is where the figures are so big, and this is why I think the Treasury, and I do warmly welcome the newly appointed of my honourable friend and member for Harpenden, and I think he would agree with me on this. Now, if he does agree with me, let's get on and do something about it. But anyway, businesses believe that this new market could be worth an estimated £10 billion in 2 years. At the time of leaving the EU, the Treasury considered the option of extended tax-free shopping to EU visitors, but decided it would cost too much. So Britain ended the existing tax-free shopping not only for the EU, proposed EU people, but visitors, shoppers from around the world. And this had consequences. By ending the tax-free shopping for non-EU visitors, Britain is losing out on a multi-billion-pound market where it was by far the leading destination in Europe for tax-free shopping. In 2019, Britain accounted for 45% of all tax-free shopping done in France, Italy, Spain and Britain combined. But it's missed out on this potentially huge new shopping-led tourist market, which only Britain could have benefited from because we were the country that had left the EU. But now look at something else. The opportunity for Britain, if the government had chosen to extend tax-free shopping to EU visitors and visitors from around the world. Look at the data. We're now seeing something about the impact of allowing British visitors to the EU to shop tax-free. So that's our people going to the EU shopping tax-free, which they do in abundance. In the first full year of travel, in 2022, those shoppers, British people, spent around 500 million on tax-free shopping in the EU. This year, it's estimated that that will double. So our people are going and benefiting those EU countries to the tune of potentially around £1 billion. But the Association of International Retail has made a very rough estimate of what behaviour British tax-free shoppers could mean if Britain were to offer tax-free shopping to EU visitors. The EU has 6 times more people than Britain does. So if the level was replicated throughout by those people, we would have this £1 billion of tax-free shopping that our people do in Europe could be turned into up to £6 billion if we allow EU shoppers to come into this country. So, the most recent forecasting report, and this is truly staggering, and I do ask my honourable friend on the front bench to listen to this. The Centre for Economics and Business Research builds on previous reports by the respected Oxford Economics unit. The two reports forecast that boosting visitors' numbers by introducing tax-free shopping of this is visitor numbers between 1.6 and 1.7 million, and increased spending of 1.7 billion to 2.8 billion, and an increase in GDP of between 4.1 and 9.1 billion annually. And I cannot understand why the Treasury won't consider this. The difference between these two forecasts is mainly due to timing, with the Oxford Economics study released in October 22 and the CEBR study published a little later in July 23. So when the government is looking for growth measures, why has the Treasury dismissed this opportunity so quickly without any comprehensive cost-benefit analysis? Ministers have told us time after time that the Treasury wrongly assumes, that's my words, the Treasury wrongly assumes, that tax-free shopping produces little or no behavioural change by international travellers, either in choosing to come to the UK or in spending level. I mean, that just is so counterintuitive that it's unbelievable. The Treasury therefore forecasts that 2 billion costs of refunding the VAT with little or no benefits in terms of additional numbers or spending. Again, completely counterintuitive. The Treasury constantly wrongly repeats that evidence shows that shopping and tax-free shopping is not a significant reason why people come to this country. But the actual figures, as I will show in a moment, show that is complete nonsense. The OBR... what is actually happening actually out there in the market is that British retail levels in London, for example, are roughly back to where they were pre-pandemic in 2019. But other European centres, like Paris, is 300% up, Madrid, 200% up. And what is also happening is that the high spenders, people from America, from the Middle East, from China, are not coming here to do their high-level shopping. And that is to the disbenefit of those high-level retailers. For example, Burberry is shifting its investment away from the UK and onto the continent. These are the sort of things that's happening out there, and it's not of benefit to us. So why was the OBR not asked to look at extending tax-free shopping to the EU? Why were they not asked to assess this policy until after the decision had been made? And therefore the OBR had no remit to assess the forecasts of EU spending upon which that decision was made. It seems to me totally sensible, Madam Deputy Speaker, to call for an independent review of this decision, because the evidence is now undermining the Treasury's forecast in a big way, and because those particular forecasts were never assessed by the OBR. I can't understand, Madam Deputy Speaker, and I will wind up, I'm watching you very carefully, and I repeat what I said in my question to the Chancellor, why our citizens go and benefit European and other countries by shopping duty-free abroad, and yet we don't extend the same facility for shoppers who want to spend a lot of money in this country to shop duty-free in this country. And I would implore the Treasury front bench now to commission an independent report as soon as possible to see whether what don't just take it from me, a number of large businesses are saying is true or not, because we could be losing out in this country in a big way. Thank you, Madam Deputy Speaker.
Right.